Hello and welcome to this video in which I'm going to share with you how you can sell property for more than it's worth. So if you've got any properties in your portfolio you want to get rid of, this is going to be an incredibly valuable video for you. However, even if you are someone who wants to buy property and build your portfolio, I highly recommend you watch this video because you're going to be able to flip it around and use what I share with you in this training to actually offer sellers more money than anybody else will, but it won't actually cost you more money from your pocket. You're going to see exactly what I mean in this brand new training. By the way, I'd love you to like this video, please comment below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel to make sure you get notification or whenever these content videos come out. So my name is Simon Zutshi, I'm the author of Property Magic, the Amazon #1 property bestseller. We sold over 100,000 copies. I've been investing myself in property since 1995, and I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network, which is the largest and longest running network for property investors in the UK. And also, I've helped thousands of people just like you become successful investors. Now, what I'm going to share with you today is something that's not actually a new strategy, but I'm using it in an innovative way so that in a booming market, which we've had over the last 18 months, if you're looking to sell a property, you can get the very best price for it. And if you're looking to buy a property, you can beat the competition. So I want you to imagine, whether you've got property or not, for the moment, imagine you are someone who has a property that you want to sell. And most sellers want to get as much as they possibly can for their property, understandably. So here's how you can do this. Now, we need to think first of all about the reasons why people will actually sell property. There are fundamentally two groups of people who might want to sell a property. The first group, which is definitely the largest group, are people who want to sell property because they want to access the equity in the property. So let's say a property is worth £200,000 and the mortgage is 120. There's £80,000 of equity in that property. Now, as you know, when you sell a property in the UK that's not your own home, you'll pay capital gains tax. That's the difference between what you bought the property and what you sell the property for, minus any capital improvements, minus buying and selling costs, and you also have a personal capital gains allowance each year you can take out before you work out the profit on which you have to pay capital gains tax. So just be aware of that. But most people are selling property because they need the money for something else. Maybe they want to pay down their own home loan. Maybe they want to invest in a business. Maybe they want to buy some other properties. Maybe they want to invest in some cryptocurrency. Whatever they want to do, whether it's pay for their daughter's wedding, they need the money now. Now, there's also a second group of people who are selling property. And these people are selling not so much because they need the money from the property, but they're selling because they just don't want the property. It's surplus to requirements, it's too much hassle, maybe they've inherited a property, maybe they're a distant landlord and it's too much hassle to look after it, maybe they're an accidental landlord, a tired landlord, or maybe they are a retiring landlord, they're selling up their portfolio, they don't really need the money, they're just going to put it in the bank. Now, it's this second group that we really want to work with, and this strategy works very well for them. So imagine you've got a property you don't really want anymore, there's some equity, but you don't really need the money. You're in this second group. So how can you sell this property for more than it's actually worth? Okay. Now, there are people in this country who would love to be able to get onto the housing ladder, but they just don't have enough deposit, or maybe they can't get a mortgage right now. Now, maybe they can't get a mortgage because they've not been in the country long enough. They might be like a foreign doctor who's on a very high salary, but they've not been here for long enough, so they can't get a residential mortgage. Or maybe they're a trainee accountant, doctor, solicitor on a very low salary. They can't get enough of a mortgage right now, but once they qualify, their salary will jump up and they will be able to get a mortgage. Or maybe the third reason, they've had a blip on their credit file and they can't quite get a mortgage right now, but with time, that blip will drop off and they'll be able to get a mortgage. So these are people who we call tenant buyers. They would love to be able to get their foot on the ladder, but actually they can't right now. So the first option for you, if you're selling a property, is to sell it to a tenant buyer. And what happens is you use what's called a purchase lease Option. Now, this is a very powerful property investing tool that most investors are completely unaware of, and even if they have heard of it, they don't really understand it very well. Here's how it works when you're selling a property. So let's say a property is worth £200,000, and this tenant buyer wants to come and get their foot on the ladder. We will give them a purchase lease option. That is the right to buy this property from you at a fixed price any time within the next, let's say, 5 years. And in the meantime, they move into the property, they look after it, they pay your mortgage for you, they often pay a little bit of extra money as well, they'll do all the maintenance, they'll look after the property. So in other words, you have no hassle at all. If you want to get away from the ownership, get away from the hassle, this can be a great solution. And you've got someone who's going to look after it. You don't need to have a letting agent, so you're going to make more money typically than if you just put it through an agent. And the great thing about this is that, you know, hopefully they're going to buy it as their home in a few years' time. Now, because you're giving them the opportunity to lock in the price today, the price is $200,000 today, you might sell it to them for maybe $210,000, because as the value goes up over time, well, it might be worth $250,000 in 5 years' time, but they can get to buy it for just $210,000. So they're locking in today's price, or slightly higher than today's price, which is a real benefit for them. Now you might think, well, hang on a minute, surely I want some of that capital growth. Well, yeah, fine. If you want capital growth, then don't sell the property. You hold on to it, you manage it, you look after it. If these are properties, remember, you want to actually sell. So if you sold a property today, you wouldn't get any future growth, and also you wouldn't get any rental income from this property. However, doing it this way, you're not only going to get a slightly higher than today's price, also they're going to give you a certain amount of extra money each month. Now, the other group of people you could sell your property to for more than it's worth today is property investors. You see, you can give a property investor a purchase lease option. They're not going to live there, but they're going to rent the property out to tenants. The idea is they're going to rent it for more money than they pay you, so they make a profit. That's why they want to do this, and they believe that the value will go up over time as well. So they could buy, in this case, at $210,000 anytime in the next 5 years. In 5 years' time, it might be worth $250,000. So they're going to get some instant equity locked into the property when they buy, and they would have made a cash flow in the meantime. Now, why would you do that? Well, again, they're going to look after the property for you. It's going to be no hassle for you. You're going to get guaranteed payment every single month. Not as much as if you rented it out, but you haven't got any of the hassle. And remember, this is someone who wants to get away from the hassle, who wants to sell their property. So selling this to a tenant buyer or a property investor can be a great solution. Now remember, if you actually sold in a conventional way, you'd get no rental income from this property. But selling it with a purchase lease option in this example, instead of getting the current market value 200, you're getting potentially 210 in the future, and you're going to get a monthly payment. Now these people will pay your mortgage if there's a mortgage, and they'll give you an extra payment each month. Let's say it's £300 a month. So £300 a month would be £3,600 a year. Over 5 years would be an extra £18,000. So if you add that to the 210 plus 18 is 228. So in other words, you're agreeing to sell this property and you're going to make an extra £28,000 over and above the current market value, and you get to walk away from all of the hassle. So hopefully you can see how this is a great way for you to sell your properties for more than they're actually worth today and have no hassle. It gets even better, because if you are a portfolio landlord and you've got a number of properties you want to sell over a number of years, you can phase the sales with some property investors and agree they're going to buy them at certain times, and you can maximize the use of your personal capital gains tax allowance. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, whenever you sell a property that's not your own home, you're going to pay capital gains tax. However, each year you have a personal capital gains tax allowance. I think it's something like $12,300 per year at the time of filming this. And by the way, if the property's owned in joint names with a partner, you both get that allowance. So let's say you, husband and wife, own a property, they sell that, the first almost £25,000 can be tax-free. Now, if you're a higher rate taxpayer, £25,000 a year tax-free is a pretty good amount to come in. You only get the allowance once a year. It's not every property, it's once per year. And if you don't use it, you lose it. But if you phase, say, 5 property sales over 5 years, you could get that $25,000 allowance each year for 5 years. So in other words, you're going to get something like £125,000 extra tax-free that you wouldn't get if you try to sell all those properties just in 1 year. So if you're selling one property or a portfolio of properties, selling them on a purchase option can be a great solution for you. Now let's flip this. Imagine that you are the property investor. You can go and find these landlords, these tired landlords, retiring landlords who just want to get rid of the property. It's very important they don't need the money from the sale now because they're not going to get any now, but you can offer them a slightly higher price than they would traditionally get in the current market, because you believe the market value is going to go up. Now, the great thing about a purchase lease option, you have the right but not the obligation to buy. So if you don't want to buy the property at the end of the 5 years, you don't have to. Now, from an ethical point of view, I think it's very important that if you take someone's property on and you decide not to buy it, you return it to them in as good a condition or better condition than when they gave it to you. I think that's only fair to do that. But it can be a great solution for you. So in other words, you're going to get today's full price, even slightly higher than today's full price, might be a discounted price in the future once values have gone up. And then also the extra, say, £300 you're going to give them a month, that might come from the cash flow. So let's say they've got a property that could be rented out as an HMO. And let's say the rent that comes in each month after the void periods and things might be, I don't know, $2,100 a month. And from that, in an HMO, typically you pay the bills. So let's say you pay your £500 a month for the bills. Then you're going to pay the landlord maybe £300 for their mortgage, maybe an extra £300 for the extra payment. So they're going to get £600. So in other words, your total expenses are $1,100. Your rental income is $2,100. Therefore, you can make £1,000 a month profit on a property that you don't even own. That's $12,000 a year. That's $60,000 over a 5-year period. That's pretty good, plus potential capital growth. The owner's really happy because they're getting away from the hassle. They're also getting more money than they would with a conventional sale. So if someone doesn't need the money right now, this can be a win-win for everyone involved. I do hope you've enjoyed this, and I really would encourage you, look, please like the video. It does me a favor if you can do that. More people will get to see it. Subscribe to the channel, and I've got a really special gift for you as well. I've prepared some online training for you all about purchase options and purchase lease options. If you want to learn more about this, it's an extended training. Just click on the link below, come and register for this free training, and it'll really help you understand how you can profit using these tools. And most investors are completely unaware of these tools, or even if they've heard of it, they don't know how to do it properly. So you can get a massive competitive advantage even in this booming market by using this powerful tool. So click on the link below, come and register for the complimentary training with me. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill, and I've lined up another video that I think you might like. Hey, I do hope you've got massive value from watching this and the other videos on this YouTube channel. I've prepared some extra training all about purchase lease options, which is the most powerful tool you could use to control property and works with every other property strategy. You really do need to make sure you understand about this. That's why I put this extra training together for you at no cost. All you have to do is click on the link below the video, come and fill in the details and you get access to that training. And I really think you should definitely do it right now. I've also lined up another video for you that I think might be interesting for you to watch as well. So until the next video, remember to invest with knowledge, invest with skill, and click on the link and come and join me for that additional training all about purchase lease options.